नमस्कार दोस्तों, कैसे हैं आप। चलिए शुरू करते हैं आज का विषय कुछ पंक्तियों से। क्या मैं पुकारूं ए मेरे देश तुझे, कहूं मैं इंडिया या भारत तुझे, सुनाओ अपनी कहानी अपने नामकरण की मुझे, कर दो इस असमंजस से मुक्त मुझे। तो विषय तो आप समझ गए होंगे इन पंक्तियों में। दोस्तों आज का विषय है भारत कहें या इंडिया कहें। तो लेट्स बिगिन। In G20 summit dinner invitation, it was written as President of Bharat, not the President of India. Also, in 20th ASEAN India Summit and 18th East India Summit, Prime Minister is referred as Prime Minister of Bharat. This triggered a debate about country's name change to Bharat. Besides, Article 1 of the Constitution mentions the name of our country adopted by Constituent Assembly on September 18, 1949. One noticeable thing is that in this year 2023, Parliament's special session is going to start on September 18, 2023. So September 18. This fueled a speculation that this is something agenda for name change of India to Bharat. So whenever such a debate erupts, we always refer to our constitution or constituent assembly debates and interpret them. We also start with this same. First of all, note one thing, that originally Indian constitution was drafted in English language, not in Hindi or any other Indian language. It was later translated into Hindi version. Keeping this in mind, let's move forward. Now, Article 1, which says India, that is Bharat, shall be Union of States. That is India, that is Bharat, shall be Union of States, was unanimously adopted on September 18, 1949. The first debate on this article, Article 1 of Constitution of India, started on November 17, 1948. However, on the suggestion of Govind Ballabh Pant, the discussion on the names was postponed to a later date. Then, on September 17, 1949, in next year, Dr. Ambedkar presented to the House the final version of this provision, which included both Bharat and India. Several members were against the use of India, which they saw as a reminder of colonial past. In India, they saw the reminder of colonial past. Also, a popular demand was to underline that India was a substitute for Bharat in English language. So one of the member of Constituent Assembly, Hari Vishnu Kamath, used example of Irish Constitution to argue the word India was only a translation of Bharat. The Constitution of Irish Free State, that is after independence of Irish, was passed in 1937. Its fourth article reads as the name of the state EIRE, or in the English Ireland. Again I am reading. The name of the state is EIRE, or in the English language, Ireland, referring to change in the name on achieving the freedom. H.V. Kamath moved an amendment to make use of Bharat, or in the English language, India, shall be, and such. Means Bharat, or in the English language, India shall be, and such. However, this amendment was not passed. Taking the debate further towards origin and civilizational aspect of the word Bharat, Another member of the Constituent Assembly, Das, Vishwanath Das, argued that the Vishnu Puran and Brahma Puran mention Bharat. He said, by naming our country as Bharat, we are not doing anything which will prevent us from marching forward. We should indeed give such a name to our country as befitting our history and our culture, Das argued. Others said that 7th century traveler Huanzhen too referred this land as Bharat. Kamath suggested Bharat or Bharatvarsh or Bharat Bhumi as possible names that are derived from scriptures. Historians and philologists have delved deep into this matter of the name of this country, especially the origin of the name Bharat. All of them are not agrees as to the genesis of this name Bharat. Some ascribe it to the son of Dushyant and Sakuntala, who was also known as Sarvdhaman. Sarvdhaman means all conqueror, and who established his suzerainty in this ancient land. After him, this land came to be known as Bharat. This was said by H.B. Kamath. However, Dr. Ambedkar reminded the House several times that this civilizational debate was unnecessary since the name Bharat was not opposed by any member. We are merely discussing whether the Bharat should come after India, he said in response to Kamath's intervention. So debate was that Bharat or India or Bharat, not whether to keep Bharat or not. All members were not opposing the Bharat, the name Bharat. Several members opposing the name India, as it will remind the colonial past. Now, moving forward, what is the origin? What are the roots of the name Bharat? Our oldest ancient scripture, Veda, which belongs to 1500 to 1000 BC, mentions the term Bharat as the name of the tribe of Sudas, who defeated an enemy coalition in the Battle of 10 Kings. Veda also refers Bharat's people as Bharatam Janam and the sons of Bharat as Bharatputra. The idea of Bharatvarsh as a geographical entity traced back to Puranic literatures and the epic Mahabharata. Mahabharata, the bulk of which thought to be compiled between 3rd century and 4th century AD, 3rd century BC and 4th century AD, referred it as Bharatvarsh. Vishnu Puran, whose earliest portions thought to have written during 400 BC, defines Bharat as the country that lies north of the oceans and south of the snowy mountain is called Bharat, for the dwelt of the descendants of Bharat. Hathni Gumpa inscription, which belongs to 2nd century BC and 1st century AD, says that Jain king Kharvela sent an expedition to conquer Bharatvarsh. Hence, we have lot of evidences which call this land as Bharat or with some related terms like Bharatvarsh. Now, this country also called as India and Hindustan. So what is the origin of India or Hindustan? Hindustan is thought to have derived from the word Hindu, the Persian cognate form of the Sanskrit word Sindhu, in the which called as Sindhu, which came in currency with Achaemenid Persian conquest of Indus Valley. Indus Valley, the northwestern part of this subcontinent. The conquest that began in the 6th century BC at the time of Buddha in the Gangetic plain. In Gangetic plain, the time was Buddha's time, and in Indus, the Archimedean Persian conquest was time. Archimedes used the term to identify the lower Indus basin, and from around 1st century of Christian era, the suffix stan came to be used with the name to create the Hindustan. Hindu suffix stan Hindustan. Sindhu, Sindhu Nadi, Indus, Sindhu Nadi, Hindu, Stan, Hindustan. Then the Greeks came. Greeks who acquired knowledge of Hind from Archimedes transliterated the name as Indus. By the time Macedonian king Alexander invaded the India in 3rd century BC, India had come to be identified with the region beyond Indus. Means Alexander, at the time of Alexander, this land now identified as India. Now, as we move forward, during the Sultanate, Delhi Sultanate and Mughals time, the name Hindustan was used to describe the entire Indo-Gangetic plain. But from the late 18th century, the decline of Mughal and the rise of the Europeans and Britishers. From the late 18th century onwards, British maps increasingly began to use the name India. Note this point. We will talk further on this point. Now, some views on this topic. Nehru, in his book Discovery of India, interchangeably referred India, Bharat and Hindustan. Often, in his words, often as I wandered from meeting to meeting, I spoke to my audiences of this India of ours, of Hindustan and of Bharat. He used India, Hindustan and Bharat. And the old Sanskrit name Bharat, the old Sanskrit name derived from the mythical founders of the race. Writing in January 1927, Nehru, alluded to the fundamental unity of India that has endured from the remote past. In his words, a unity of common faith and culture. India was Bharat, the holy land of Hindustan, and it is not without significance that the great places of Hindu pilgrimage are situated in four corners of India. The extreme south overlooking Ceylon, Sri Lanka was called at that time Ceylon. The extreme west washed by the Arabian Sea, the east facing the Bay of Bengal, and the north in the Himalayas. Social scientist, now another perspective, social scientist Catherine Clementine Jaw explained Bharat in the sense of religious and socio-cultural entity rather than a political or geographical one. Nehru explained it as geographical and cultural entity. Social scientist Catherine is explaining it as socio and cultural and religious entity rather than a political or geographical entity. In her words, Bharat refers to supra-regional and subcontinental territory where the Brahminical system of society prevails. She wrote in her 2014 article titled India, that is Bharat, one country, two names. Now, historian Ian J. Barrow, in his article From Hindustan to India, Naming Change in Changing Names, 2003, mentioned that the part of the appeal of the term India may have been its Greco-Roman associations, its long history of use in Europe, and its adoption by scientific and bureaucratic organizations such as Survey of India. He argued that the adoption of the India suggests how colonial this colonial nomenclature signaled changes in perspective and helped to usher in understanding of subcontinent as a single bounded and British political territory. Means This name helped Britishers to forget the cultural roots and history of Indians and to see this India and other conquered colonies as one single political British territory. So they increasingly used the name India. In bureaucratic languages, in scientific languages, the word India was used. So this signifies that how the choice of word matters. One single word can make you rule or be ruled, and can make you forget your historical and cultural roots. President of Bharat on dinner invitation possibly be one such example of Panch Pran communicated by Prime Minister of India in his Independence Day speech in 2022. One of the Panch Pran was need to decolonize minds and taking pride in India's civilizational heritage. So this could be a step forward to use Bharat and de-use India, or mostly use Bharat. So now coming to the uses of the word Bharat and India. Where the India word is used and where the Bharat word is used. The Indian Constitution, which was originally drafted in English, nowhere used the word Bharat except in Article 1, as we discussed earlier. In Article 1, the Bharat word is used. Except that article, nowhere Bharat word is used in the original draft of the Constitution or English version of the Constitution. Even the preamble refers to we the people of India, not the we the people of Bharat. However, the translated Hindi version of the Constitution uses Bharat for India throughout. Every word, every India is converted, translated to Bharat in Hindi version of Constitution. Like भारत का संविधान एज इट्स टाइटल, हम भारत के लोग इन दी प्रियम्बल, भारत का राष्ट्रपति इन आर्टिकल 52 एंड सच लाइक. दिस सजेस्ट दैट इंडिया इज इंग्लिश फॉर भारत. इंडिया इज इंग्लिश ट्रांसलेशन फॉर भारत, और वी कैन से भारत इज हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन फॉर इंडिया. It is also evidence in Article 1 which says that India, that is Bharat, shall be Union of States. Here, two commas means India is English version of Bharat. If you see English grammar, then you will understand this. India, that is Bharat, shall be a Union of States. Now, coming to other uses. Indian passport says Bharat Ganrajya on its cover page. Bharat Ganrajya. The national anthem refers to Bharat Bhagya Vidhata. Bharat Bhagya Vidhata. India is called as Bharat or Bharatam in almost all Indian languages, be it Marathi, Bengali, Gujarati, Hindi and several other Indian languages. It is called as Bharat. Bharat is natural name of India. India is an odd term culturally. Think for a while. What we should say? भारत माता की जय और इंडिया माता की जय. जय भारत और जय इंडिया. What would you say? Comment. India was a geographical term given by outsiders with no historical or cultural meanings, trying to distorting our history and cultural civilizational identity. As we discussed it, we consider this as our motherland. In our cultural tradition, the respectful way of calling a woman is by her child's name, either her eldest name, either her eldest child's name, or the most known among her children. Bharat denotes that this is our motherland. Bharat is an elder brother of ours, born long before us. He was noble, virtuous and victorious king and a shining model of Hindu manhood. By saying Bharat Mata Ki Jai, we praise our motherland this country, which gave us everything to live for it, be it land for resources or nation for a purpose and hope. Did anyone try to change this name? Let's look at the name change bits. So where do we change? How do we change our name? Directly into constitution. So in 2004, Uttar Pradesh Assembly unanimously passed a resolution which was moved by the then CM Mulayam Singh Yadav to amend the constitution to Bharat, that is India, instead of India, that is Bharat. Make sense? Make difference. Bharat, that is India, instead of India, that is Bharat. Got it? Means India as English translation of Bharat, not Bharat as Hindi translation of India. In 2015, the BJP-led central government told Supreme Court in a response to PIL, that is public interest litigation, calling for name change, that the issues regarding country's name change were deliberated upon extensively by Constituent Assembly when Constitution was drafted and Article 1 was unanimously adopted. It also pointed out that Bharat did not figure in original draft of the Constitution, and it was during the debates that the Constituent Assembly considered names and formulations such as Bharat, Bharat Bhumi, Bharat Bars, India, that is Bharat, and Bharat, that is India. All were considered during that debate. So Supreme Court dismissed the PIL. In 2020, Chief Justice of India S.A. Bobde dismissed a PIL seeking to remove the India from Article 1 and retain only Bharat by saying that Bharat and India are both names given in the Constitution. India is already called Bharat in the Constitution itself. So no name change bid or PIL accepted, and India is already called as Bharat and India is a Bharat and Bharat is India. So what will you say, Bharat or India? Comment, what would you prefer? मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में. तब तक के लिए आप इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करिए, शेयर करिए, कमेंट करिए, फीडबैक दीजिए. और आपका ये छोटी सी पहल जो आप ये जो सब्सक्राइब करके और बेल आइकन दबाते हैं और लाइक कमेंट जो भी है डिसलाइक जो भी करते हैं, इससे हमें एनर्जी मिलती है, प्रेरणा मिलती है आगे और वीडियोस बनाने के लिए. थैंक यू सो मच. जय हिंद, जय भारत.